wanted to make a follow-up about, of the video, What is Mu, that I released, I guess about around the 20th of March 2024, in case you watch this video at a different time. It's right around there, maybe the 19th. Anyway, so I want to make a follow-up because, first of all, that was one of my favorite videos I've ever made. Mu is such a powerful catalyst. Powerful, let's just call it an opportunity. And I think I answered some of these questions in the actual video where I feel like I addressed them, but there were enough comments and questions on that video that I thought I would address them directly again and just dial people in if they're interested in this, this entry point, Mu, M-U. It's a Japanese word, originally a Chinese word, excuse me. So the story, the koan, first koan in the Mumon Kan, is a monk, in all seriousness, asked the Zen master Chao Cho, or Joshu, does a dog have Buddha nature? Joshu answered Mu, which means has, not, or no. And again, as I explained in the first video, traditionally speaking, that's a kind of a contradictory answer because you would traditionally say that the Buddha nature is all pervasive and so forth. But as I think I said in the first video, but I think some people were confused by this, by the comments. As I said in the first video, the way you use Mu, the way you utilize this entry point, this possibility of Mu, the most common first koan in Zen, has nothing to do with the conceptual understanding of that exchange. It doesn't have to do with doctrine. This is non-doctrinal. It's non-doctrinal and it's non-conceptual. That's the first step, actually. That's the first entry point. It takes a while to digest that. And again, based on a lot of the comments, I can see that. People are like, well, I think Mu is this, Mu is that, Mu is the Tao, Mu is abstract. It seems abstract, things like this. These are still conceptual level approaches to Mu, or they're conceptual level concerns about Mu. That's not Mu we're talking about. That's not the Mu I'm talking about. The Mu I'm talking about is not conceptual. It's not something to compare. It has nothing to do with comparison. You could almost say it's incomparable. So if you're going, well, I think it's this, or you satisfy yourself with the definition of it, that satisfaction is actually your life preserver to prevent you from dying into Mu, right? So the first layer of it is conceptual, as I kind of mentioned in that first video. And it happens. We're going to have these periods where we're like, oh, it must be this, it must be the universe, and it must be life, the universe, and everything, or it's the Dharma, or it's the Tao, or it's the one universal, but whatever. It doesn't matter what we describe. It's a description. That's a definition, right? So that's the first layer. And a good Zen teacher will always tell you, no, that's not it. That's not Mu. Right? That's a description of Mu, maybe. It's a description of the concept of Mu, but Mu is not a concept. Mu is not a concept. It just isn't. It's not a concept. You can't answer it conceptually, but there is an answer. There is an answer. And the answer comes with a very, very fundamental transformation in identity. It has to. Without that, then the Mu is not satisfied. It's not completed. It's not penetrated. It's not realized. Period. So I'm pushing a little bit for anyone that's still trying to conceptualize it, because I want you to, if you're interested in Mu, if you're interested in this possibility, I want you to really digest that. And what does that do to you when you digest that? Well, sometimes it makes you mad, right? Like almost makes you mad at the teacher or the person talking about Mu. And there's a reason, because you're getting pushed beyond a sort of barrier. You're getting pushed beyond the barrier of concept that has kept you at a superficial level of experience, or has kept you in a sense of separation from the world, because only a concept can do that. There's no separation, but the mind is very tricky, and it can certainly make it seem like there is separation from the world, and that separation feels like and is structured in thought and belief. Okay? So when I push you beyond that, or I really push this issue of non-conceptuality, sometimes it makes us mad or uncomfortable, like you're shifting, you want to crawl out of your skin, or fearful. You might feel an experience of fear. that's kind of the second step, right? I don't want to turn this into a process, but it does tend to happen, right? Once we really digest that this is not something I can solve with my mind. I mean, I can convince myself I have and pat myself on the back and go, I know what moo is, but that's not moo. If you really want moo, you have to go get moo. You have to go to moo and let moo come to you until it's just moo. And there's nothing separating anything. It's just moo, mooing moo, moo walking, moo talking, moo sitting, moo doubting. You have to go there. You have to make the journey, you know. And one of the stops on the way is the conceptual, and then you move beyond that. And then another stop is the emotional. You'll often come up to a significant amount of fear or anger or confusion or disorientation or boredom. All of these are perceptions pasted onto a sort of physical experience. The physical experience will come and go and subside ultimately. The question is, did you identify with it? Did you identify with the story you told yourself about what caused that, what it's made out of, you know, what the storyline is, what you understand, what you don't understand, fearful thoughts like, you know, I might go crazy if I keep going this way. So you're going to go through those often. And then you come to a place where moo is really starting to clarify. You start to actually understand what is meant when the Zen teacher says, just moo. Don't separate yourself. Don't make a distinction. Don't make space between you and moo. There's just moo. Become one with it. Or die into moo, just moo. When you walk, moo walks. When moo walks, you walk. When moo sleeps, you sleep. When moo awakens, you awaken. When you take a shower, moo's taking a shower. Just moo. Don't separate yourself. So the mind still will try to get you here, of course. It's still grabbing, you know, and it'll say, how's that possible? Maybe this isn't possible for me, right? So these are doubts. So the doubts will come. Okay, maybe there is something to this. Maybe there really is a realization, you know, through this moo entry point, this gateless gate, the first gateless gate. Maybe there is something to it, but it's not for me. I can't do it. I can't penetrate it. You know, and your teacher might tell you, well, in a sense you can't. The individual that seems like it's separate from everything can't. But that's not moo. Don't separate yourself from moo, even with a doubt. Don't even use a doubt to wedge between moo and you, between you and experience, between moo and experience. Don't let anything get in between, you know, until it's just moo, moo, moo. All day, all night, into infinity, until it becomes the sweetest thing in the universe, the most interesting thing in the universe, the only thing in the universe. You have to keep going back to it. You have to make sure that you're alert enough to notice when thoughts start to grab your attention, and just don't grab on. Don't get on that thought train, because just moo. What is it? That's where the curiosity comes in. What is it? Just moo. And then the what is it becomes that curiosity, the obsession becomes interwoven with experience itself. So it's just moo. Moo breathing, moo sitting, moo hearing. Where does moo end? Where does moo begin? Just moo. Moo. This is it. And this becomes this one-pointed sort of incendiary experience. And intimate. Intimate meaning you start to feel the non-separation. But it's still a little conceptual. The mind's still trying to understand that. No, I experienced non-separation. Like I bumped into something and there was no division. But I don't understand that. What does that mean? What does that mean moo is? Oh gosh, there's another thought, right? There I am trying to conceptualize again. Go back to moo, just moo. This is also why there's a distinction between experience and realization. Because often we'll get experiences of doing this. If you become one-pointed enough through concentration, you'll have experiences. You can have very, very profound mystical experiences. You can have unity experiences. You can have transcendent experiences. You can have empty experiences. But if if something comes in and owns that experience, That's what we're actually trying to address. We're trying to address the identity that seems to be collecting experience, that seems to be the one who experienced something and came out the other side. That's what we're after. We're not after the experience. Okay. So that's another sort of a trap, I guess, or just something that can turn us around a little bit with this, getting too attached to experiences. The one noticing the experience, that's also a thought, right? That's the experience collector. That's the one that's in love with novelty. But is that what you are? Is that Mu? I'm going to tell you no, because Mu is just Mu. So back to Mu, back to Mu. And often after this, the mind will get very kind of, the spirit will get very quiet in a certain way. You know, I don't want to make too much of a map of this because you have to have your own experience, but it's often the case things just calm down a lot. But there's a certain kind of neutrality that's very poignant, very interesting. It feels very fresh and simultaneously and paradoxically familiar, ancient, but like very fresh and innocent, simple. Mu, Mu, Mu. The mind might say, is that Mu? I don't know if that's Mu. Am I Mu? Don't worry about it. Set those aside. Just back to Mu. Just Mu. Just Mu. The curiosity is already there. What the heck is it? But it's becoming very, very one-pointed here, such that the mind wandering is slowing down or stopping. And this is sort of approaching that gateless gate when there's no deviation anymore. You're not breaking this sort of fascination with Mu anymore, to wonder about something, to doubt about something, to indulge the mind anymore. You've sort of learned that those are all failing maneuvers. Those are all avoidant maneuvers, essentially. They don't get you what you're really after. So it's just Mu, yeah? Back to Mu. And you just have to let it completely take you till there's only Mu. I don't really have any more clues because the journey is so important. You have to actually go through this process yourself if you're interested. Now, if you've already had an awakening, I should say, if you certainly have had an awakening, a shift in identity, it's been obvious. This may or may not be interesting to you, and it's not going to cause, if you have, it's not going to cause the same sort of shift, but you can definitely become one-pointed with it. You can sort of intuitively use it as a guide back into that clear, undifferentiated presence. So I'll just say that. But for those who are sort of working through this with this koan, working through that initial investigation of the nature of identity and the nature of Mu, then it's a very good entry point. One of the best, for sure. Good luck.